book was Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls by David Sedaris. It's not discuss. I'll probably say discuss like 10 times because that's what was on Mr. Adams' list.
Oh,
Now
sorry.
it hurts my head. Anyway, it's kind of tough to come up with an overall thing because really it's 26 sections of rambling. We saw this day and it ticked him off and this ticks him off about this and that and he was here when this happened. As it says on the front, essays, etc. It's very informal and it's just kind of, hey, this happened, okay. It's interesting because he'll take a lot of different perspectives throughout the book. Like instead of speaking all in the first person, he'll speak in the first person, but as some ticked off woman or as a younger person, as an old man. It's just to get different viewpoints. It's still his opinion, but it's funny how he can put it through a different perspective. And a lot of the subjects are rather controversial. He speaks about taboo things, like if you said most of his stuff in the public sphere, you would probably get lynched. There's a few chapters I read, and afterwards I had to be like, okay. The things that he says, like Mr. Adams said he saw him speak, I can imagine people sitting there like, how can you say these things? So one of the first things he talks about is same-sex marriage. It's in a section, there's something in the news, he says, I saw somebody was transgender, and it was a woman who liked men, and now she's a man who likes men as well. So on top of everything, because I can't stand to call it a man or a woman, is not only this transgender creature, but it is now homosexual, as if we didn't have enough, a doctor had to go and make one? Just ludicrous things that he says. And he himself, you find out a little bit after that chapter, which is really confusing, that he himself is a homosexual, David Sedaris. So he's like, he takes on the perspectives of these people, even if they don't match his own opinion, he does well at giving everybody helping everybody understand multiple different perspectives. He moves on to race and stereotypes. His sister is attacked at some point, and he tells that story in the book, by a black man, of course, and they can't find him the first day with the sister. So the next day they go out, and the father and Sedaris are interviewing and chasing down random black people in the neighborhood, hours and hours, and interviewing them, and you must have been the one who attacked my sister. Then he goes to stereotypes between countries, which is really interesting because he has been all over the world and he's learned a bunch of different languages. Well, every time he goes to learn a language, he gets the same companies, like Rosetta Stone, the learning language program. Well, he's noticed it's always like the same generic stuff. Like if you're at a restaurant, it'll teach you in one language, ask for the bill, say thank you, have a nice night. But he also noticed that like in Germany, when he was learning German, the conversation went, ask for the bill, hey, are you ripping me off? Like, it's actually in these programs, so like what you would expect, like I kind of imagined it like if you're going to Gary and there's a language and Crown Point and there's a language, you might learn, hey, don't shoot me, and then he goes on to like mental retardation. I know I feel bad saying all these things, but he doesn't hesitate to let you know his opinion. He has a short story about how he can't text and drive. Well, then you're encroaching upon my freedom. You know, he takes on the perspective of this arrogant person that, well, if I can't text and drive, what kind of world do we live in? And I'm going to a state where I can text and drive. It's also a state where mentally ill people can own weapons, which is awesome because everybody should have freedoms. You can't take any freedoms away from anybody. There's no exceptions for anything. And if you don't think that a mentally ill person can bring his sawed-off shotgun to the church where his ex-wife is getting remarried, you're part of the problem.
God bless him.
I mean, there's not a ton of quotable material, but just kind of the arrogance and everything. You could use any of these as an example of people just actually, put it through your head. He talked kind of about how he noticed one day somebody had caught a child vandalizing, and the man had, kind of he said all Sedaris says is put his hand on the shoulder, but he was restraining the child so he wouldn't run away. And the parents, instead of saying, thank you for stopping our child from vandalizing, said, why are you touching our child? And called the police. The viewpoint of people, he said, if my father would have seen that, they would have not only thanked the person, but they wouldn't have taken my side of the story, they would have beat me. So he kind of goes into child abuse, and he doesn't think it was abuse. Come on, America, what are we raising our children to be like? Poverty and drug use, his mother's opinion, I just thought was very interesting. Poor people and people worse off than us are here on this earth so that we feel better about ourselves. That's their purpose, according to Sedaris' mother. There's a very interesting divorce and cheating section where the wife of this man is writing to the ex-wife and complaining about how the ex-wife had sarcastically sent them a free large pizza for the wedding gift, and started saying, well, you called me a bitch, you called me a whore. Shouldn't those kinds of insults be resolved for the person that would send a large pizza coupon to a wedding? It's very funny, but there's a littering crusade, which is something I've thought about before. If you ask anybody, they don't litter and they don't make a mess of public bathrooms. So if nobody does it, and everybody realizes that they're always disgusting, then who are the couple of people that are just that disgusting that make it that terrible to go to any of these public places? And he was in some other country that they moved to, and he starts this littering thing. He's picking up litter every day, and he can tell just by it. Every day there's a Coke bottle with a candy bar wrapper in it. Well, it meant to make you feel better because you turn 2 pieces of litter into 1, so that guy's clear. Just who are these people? And then last but not least, there's a section on colonoscopies. Very educational. His sister vouched that it was the most pleasant experience of her lifetime. And he explains the farting room, which I'm not going to go into detail on, but it's just, that's Sedaris' mind. He just moves from thing to thing to thing. This book is very crazy, but it's still helpful as far as getting different perspectives and learning about different issues. And I'm going to read an excerpt with all of them. For this, I'm going to take on the persona of what I believe to be a middle-aged American woman, very headstrong. This is still written by Sedaris, though. So, dear fellow patriots and patriots, like many of you, I originally planned to carry a sign. The one I'd work on pictured a witch doctor with the face of it. It kills me to say it. Our president. With a bone through his nose and that African-type pain on his cheeks. Under that I had written, Indonesian Muslim welfare, thug hands off my healthcare, Kenyan socialist baby growing kid. I thought it looked pretty good, but then I ran it by my son, Todd. He's the artistic one in the family. Well, Mom, he said to me, it's a little busy. We got to talking about my concerns, and because I have so many of them, he suggested that I go the flyer route. The last I heard, our God-given right to mammograph has not been taken away. Chairman Obama has left us that, at least. And Todd assures me that this will work just as well as my picket sign. The key, Mom, is to hand these to as many people as possible. He then gave me a t-shirt I'm wearing, which I unfolded before me to read, Big Dyke, I said. And Todd said, exactly. A dyke, he explained, is someone who holds back the encroaching flood of socialism. And that pretty much sums me up in a nutshell. Well, let's add the word proud to that. So out came the press-on letters, and voila. He made such a turnaround, that boy of mine. Back at college, he was as liberal as they came, all with the down push and Satan/Cheney 08. And that's what our universities do now, they brainwash. I said, get out into the real world and you'll see, I said. Pay some taxes for once in your life and you'll be mad as hell too. That's exactly what happened. After graduating with a useless degree in dance history, Tom got a job at our local community college working in the admissions office, and he saw the bite Uncle Sam was taking out of his paycheck. He came right around, I'll tell you what. So did his roommate Miles. The two of them met in college and have been thick as thieves ever since. I actually sometimes call him Shadow. Not because he's black, which he is. It's just because him and my son are so close. It's actually him who Xeroxed the flyers for me. Both Miles and Todd are familiar with protest marches, mostly from their misguided college days. But my son said walking is walking, Mom. And whether you're for torture or against it, you're going to need to stay hydrated. Drink lots of water. That's rule number 1, stay hydrated. You'll also need good, comfortable shoes and a hat that'll keep the sun off of your face. So I got a sombrero and I tied some tea bags to it. But he said that sent a mixed message. So, like I supported illegal immigration, which I don't. He said I was better to wear this cone-shaped thing, a wimple he called it. Though it looked more like a dunce cap. He said, Mom, please, a little sophistication. I said, how will I keep the sun off my face? So he added a visor to the front of it. As for the writing that runs top to bottom, it might look like asshole, but really it's ASSHOLE. Another savvy senior hopes Obama loses everything. That might sound harsh, but that's how I feel. His teeth, his family, his keys to his car. I want that man to be left with nothing, just like he's trying to leave us, the American public, with nothing. My only worry was that it was vague and people might think that I was the asshole. Not at all, my son told me. It's a very common acronym, like CPAC, and everyone will know what it means. So now here I am in my big, proud Dyke t-shirt. I've got my cone-shaped hat on, and I'm here to say that I am mad as hell, and I want my country back. I want a Christian president who's born in America, not Africa, and I don't want a death panel telling me what I can and cannot live. Then there's the tax business, which really makes my blood boil. The way it is now, if I win the lottery, I have to give the government a way higher percentage than I would have had to when Bush was in charge. What else gets your goat? Todd asked me when he was typing up the flyer. And I told him I was sick of the president talking down to me, like I'm some kind of a uninformed idiot, said Tom. And I told him, that's it exactly. I'm tired of being talked to like I'm an uninformed idiot, and I think a lot of Americans are too. But we'll see who's the idiot when I join the historic March on Washington. Todd agreed 100%, and then he took me to the Greyhound station where I got on the bus for Seattle. So who wants to tell me what was wrong with, he doesn't give her name, I'm a big, arrogant American lady's speech. Anybody got any ideas?
Nothing.
Perfect. It was very counter to her view because her view was very conservative and his was more liberal. And so he was typing it as a liberal would make fun of a conservative person.
Yeah, there's candies, and everybody should have some stuff. What else? What did I say? What did I say that was just arrogant, stupid?
Well, it was funny the way her son was basically making fun of her because she was the mindless idiot that she was so bothered that the president was talking down to the entire time. So by writing it in a clever manner, he made it so she didn't understand that he was making fun of her the whole time.
Exactly. The whole thing, she's mocking herself.
Literally, like, her son was mocking her the whole time, and she thought he was supporting her. And, like, especially with the bathroom comment, she's that person who is the most disgusting person to make everyone not want to go there.
Her lack of geography knowledge is hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't catch it till my second read through, actually, and I felt bad when I realized it. If you didn't, it's Seattle, she's going to join the March on Washington.
Yes.
From Washington. The hat's not right. It's just asshole. I don't think it's that. And Dyke has a different definition. Anyway, I think that was the best chapter for the overall, just the message of the book, the arrogant statements. I think Sedaris really, he's just pushing for a little bit of education, some know-how. Before you go out and you're spreading your views, she plans to go protest, but does she really know what she's talking about? She's not even going to the right place in the first. And I find that too, it's irritating. There's trolls on the internet. People start arguing about a situation they know nothing about, and I think that's really what Sedaris is against with all of these different examples. He overhears different conversations throughout the books, and really it's just a combination of comments on, you really think that, you really know what you're talking about to be able to think that, and I think he just wants everybody to read his book, say, hey, maybe look how stupid they look. Look how exaggeratedly stupid they look. Do I want to look like that? No, maybe I should be a little bit more careful with what I say in my report.
Excellent.
Good question, San Diego.